welcome Gary Miller.
Okay. Welcome, 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 and thanks for joining us here to talk about how organizations are achieving exceptional outcomes with Oracle. So thank you for being here. I'm Gary Miller. I'm the Customer Success Officer for Oracle. I have that honor and pleasure, and my mission is to make all of you successful. With your companies, with your partners, with our Oracle team. And so that's my passion, that's what I live for, that's what my team and I get up for every day. So we're here to make you successful. You know, I hope you're enjoying Cloud World. There's a real buzz this year, incredible announcements, a lot of feedback from customers. And I think you all heard in Safra's keynote about putting customer success at the heart of everything. And we really mean everything for you. Success is different for everybody, individually and for companies. And we have some great companies. We have a partner and a lead from Oracle here, who they're going to explain what success is to them and how they've achieved it together. So we're looking forward to have a fun session. At the end of it, we hope you take away some ideas on what you can do to help drive your success with your partners and with Oracle. So with that, let me introduce Karen Nelson, who is the Senior Vice President of HR Technology at Marriott. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Karen. Come sit down. So, yeah, so we've known Karen a while, and she is just an incredible leader at Marriott. And we're going to talk about partnership a lot here and what difference that makes. But, you know, implementations, cloud implementations are huge deals, but I don't think you've heard of one as big as what Marriott did. So, Karen, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and then talk about the scale of your transformation?
Sure. Thanks, Gary. I'm so excited to be here. And at Marriott, I have responsibility for HR technology. And what we're really doing is trying to find those technical solutions that can help to enable our associates' success, whether it be through engagement, development, et cetera. And we have been partnering with Oracle, and when we launched our Cloud HCM platform, it was to over 800,000 associates in 139 countries, at nearly 8,600 properties, in 15 languages. And so it was quite the undertaking of scale that I'm not sure had been experienced before, but it's definitely been a journey.
I mean, wow, what scale? You know, enormous, and been very successful with that, Karen. So how do you define success? You know, so you've had this transformation. How do you define success, and what were some of the obstacles you had to overcome to achieve that success?
Thanks. So in my opinion, the success is measured by the strength of the partnership. And so as the saying goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And the partnership that we've had with Oracle and Accenture, and the fact that we're on stage talking about it today, I think is a proof point to the success that we've had in that partnership.
Okay. So maybe you could just, you know, delve into that a little bit more and, you know, explain more about the partnership.
Of course. So when we launched in 2020, we implemented 14 different Oracle products across 10 different modules. And so for us, the reason that we went forward with this transformation was we wanted to create an exceptional associate experience. And the way to do that was to ensure that each of those products and those modules was going to be operating seamlessly together. And so we worked with Oracle and Accenture and some of our other partners to ensure that not only were our operations and our updates, that they were choreographed meticulously, but also with such strong coordination to ensure that we could deliver upon that commitment to really realize our investment.
Okay. So you talked about, you know, Marriott, Oracle, Accenture. So can you explain a little bit more of the operating model? How did that all work together?
Sure. So it's like a three-legged stool. So we have Marriott, Accenture, and Oracle all working together. And from our launch, we focused on how do we ensure that we can stabilize. And the Oracle CSS team that partnered with us was able to help us really develop some muscles that would ensure that we could continue to have consistent performance in our platform. So from the stabilization, then we were looking to kind of hardening those skills, ensuring that they could be operationalized, and then finally looking to innovation. And one of the benefits, of the many benefits, but one of the best parts about the partnerships that we have with Oracle, with CSS, and with Accenture is the depth of experience that they have in their organizations. And they bring all of those resources forward to help ensure that when we're struggling with some really sticky problems or trying to find opportunities to innovate in a different way, that we have the right resources to help us.
Okay, okay. So you're giving the audience here kind of insight into that journey. What would be some of the key lessons, takeaways, best practices that you'd like to share?
Thank you for asking. So from a lessons perspective, I'd probably summarize it in 3 ways. When you talk, so often when we hear about the journey to the cloud, it's described as a transformation. And it is, and it's talked about enthusiastically in that way. And it's a transformation not only of the technology, but it really needs to start with a transformation of those business processes to understand what is really your competitive advantage. So it's like if you're moving into a new house, you're not going to bring everything that you'd stored in your attic over 20 years. You're only going to bring those things that are meaningful and that are really going to drive that value. The second thing would be around trust.
Yeah.
So, you know, we worked with great partners, and it's important to not only listen to and trust your partners, but partners listen to and trust your clients. Understand deeply their business problems so that together you can do deep problem solving and understand how to find those right solutions. And you know, one of the key proof points that we've had in that space has been around the innovation we've been able to do in the analytics space has been tremendous, and it's been our partners that have helped us there. Okay. And finally, the last one is, you know, implementations of this nature and then the ongoing maintenance, that they are a team sport. And that trust that I mentioned, it's born from everyone having shared accountability, shared understanding of the goals, and really being able to drive that.
Okay, okay, great. You know, just to show the strength of the partnership, Karen actually came on to one of my all hands and explained about, you know, Marriott and the transformation, and she had a unique, around the ongoing innovation, you had a unique way of explaining it, which really stuck with me, where she said, you know, I look at the quarterly updates as like a chess game, and I'm thinking 10 moves ahead of, you know, what I'm getting these updates. I'm really thinking 10 moves ahead. How do I look at that innovation? How do I plan for the change, and how do I implement it? And I just thought that was a great analogy. I'm not the only person is thinking 10 moves ahead. I'm only thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead. But it was
I think you flatter me, but thank you.
No, but it was you know, amazing. And I think yeah, because it's not just getting to the cloud, the journey. It's when you're there, how do you really get the ongoing, you know, if you're positioned well to consume the innovation and get the business value from that.
And surround yourself with a team that has that shared goal and shared vision of success. And it's been a tremendous partnership.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you know, Karen, I want to thank you. I'm a Marriott fan, and my family are a Marriott fan. Whatever you've done with your associates and whenever we stay there, they really take care of us, and we appreciate the great service that your team provides as well.
It's a wonderful legacy, so
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Karen. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the Marriott implementation was with Accenture. So at this point, I'm going to invite up Jason Dess, who is the lead for CFO and business value for Accenture. So Jason, please join me on stage. So yeah, Jason and I, we get to do some really cool things together. One is be here with all of you today, but a couple of months ago, we were, Oracle had the 10-year anniversary of being listed on the stock exchange, and that's where I met Jason, and we were there ringing the bell with Safra, and it was just a great celebration. So thank you for that, Jason.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah, so Jason, we just talked about the success with Marriott, and you know, it's so that's with Marriott, but we have a lot of different customers. We have, small customers, medium, different industries. So how do you define success, and how do you work with Oracle to achieve that success?
It's a great question, Gary. And first of all, we really appreciate the partnership with Marriott. I'm a Titanium Elite member as well, so very much appreciate that. Look, when I define success, and we define success at Accenture, I think there's 4 elements that go into it. Okay. The first one is value. Value is at the heart of everything. If you can understand the value and the levers of value you're trying to achieve, and then you think about how you can measure that value, you have the guideposts for being successful. And now you can plot the journey in the path that makes sense and make sure that you're getting the value in each step. And if you get that, you're halfway there. And that's a step we see many folks that aren't successful, they don't apply that and move forward. I think the second one is around making sure you have a solid digital core. Having a solid digital core in this day and age is key to make sure you have a comprehensive set of data. And you look at the Oracle SaaS applications running on Oracle OCI, you get that, you get data, you get security, you get the full package through, and that's critical to be able to move forward. I think the third is standardization. I know from the sessions I've been in, we've heard about Safra's keynote. And using that core and doing things in a standard way allows you to take advantage of the technology as it moves forward, and then continue to drive success, because it's not just a one-stop. Sure. Change is constant in the world that we live in today. And then the fourth one, and I mentioned briefly before, is data. Data is such a control point in how organizations are able to move and how you're able to drive the insight moving forward. So how do you think about data across various platforms and services in an enterprise-wide view? And if you can lock those in, then you've got a really good foundation to make sure that you can achieve the value you're looking to.
Okay. Well, we've had a lot of great joint success with customers. Have many customers, on the journey get there, and then get the ongoing value and success. What's your strategy for with Oracle to get customers to that success? What do you think? What's unique about our joint approach?
Yeah. First of all, I think we have just this fantastic partnership, Gary. We very much value it. We invest together. I think Karen said it very well, that the 3 legs of the stool, and we very much value that as we work with our clients to drive success. When I think about some of the elements that make it happen in unique approach, as I mentioned value before, at Accenture we put that as the heart of everything we do and for our clients. If you think about our own journey as an organization, we talk about 360-degree value out to the public. So that's key, and we truly believe that's a differentiator. And when you couple it with deep industry and functional experience and the technological experience and bringing those pieces together holistically, you're able to identify how to make that happen and move forward. And then it's not just about the technology, and Safra mentioned it, it's about driving business outcomes. So how do you bring the elements of change associated with it? And then how do you think about how you operate the technology and how do you operate your processes? And when we think holistically through that lens, you can open up a completely different element to reinvention and to success. So we believe that's absolutely critical. And again, that's, I think, the unique element of Accenture Oracle with our customers and partners together really helps make that happen.
Okay. And any trends you're observing at the moment?
You know what, it's fascinating. We just completed, and we're going to put this out to the market in October. As an example, we interviewed 1,400 CFOs about the trends that they see coming. And without stealing the thunder of the entire survey, we asked them, what are the disruptions you're having now? And what are the disruptions you think are going to happen in 2 years? And the number one disruptive element was technological advancement. By a long way. So it just shows how technology is impacting our lives. So that's one key trend we see. I think the other key trend is how change is constant. So every industry deals with it in different ways. How do you set yourself up for success? And success moving forward, not just a point in time. And a number of those things we talked about earlier really come together to make that happen. And for organizations, how do you have that mindset? What do you build in both during any implementation, but then post to allow you to be successful?
Okay. So you talked about technology and change is constant. When we were in New York, you talked a lot about AI, right? So, and I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times this week. But how do you see that, especially your lead of CFO and business value? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, AI is a topic that is everyone's interested in the market right now. What I would say is I think it impacts in from a finance lens, to give an example, it impacts in 3 areas. It can help you with risk and compliance, it can help you with efficiency, and it can help you with insight. And you have great examples at the customer level, and there's many out there in the market. And then organizations are starting to say, how does it help them move forward? A couple of things. I think many are going to deal with it initially as a co-pilot. How does it help me how does it help my team be more productive by getting data to a certain point and letting them review it and then move it forward? So I think we'll see that, and people are starting to play with it. In the finance domain, we've actually identified around 60 use cases that we know finance and CFOs are working with right now. Some of those elements we talked about around having data in a digital core allow you to take advantage of generative AI. The number of CFOs I've personally spoken to that don't believe they have that data, so they're not as bullish about driving generative AI and the benefits from it until you get that is key. So you've got to look at that entire stack and then make strategic decisions. But it's here to stay. It's going to make significant advancements and differences in our business. And we're very much aligned with, and back to sort of the partnership, how do we work together to make sure we can make that productive for our clients?
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, great insights there. So, we work with you on many customers, and you have a value-driven approach with, you'd start with, industry solutions in driving. So as we delivered that together with many customers, what are the key lessons learned and best practices you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, Gary, look, I'll take a different tack with Karen. By the way, I thought Karen's were amazing, so I won't repeat. I'd bring it down to 3. And I know I've harped on this, but again, think about the value you want to drive and how to make it happen. Think about how you really have a digital core that enables you to scale and adapt with the changes and disruptions we're seeing in the world. And then I would say, thirdly, as you pull those elements together, how do you really think about driving that continuous change and lens and disruption through the business and deal with that on an ongoing basis? Change is BAU now, and that's a mindset shift for a number of organizations. So making that shift is so incredibly important as you go down the journey so you can achieve what you're looking for.
Okay. Any last thoughts? What do you think of CloudWorld this year? Anything different?
I think CloudWorld has been great. I've had a great experience. I think the topics are absolutely relevant. The client stories, the advancements. I think I love CloudWorld because it helps you frame what you need to do and how to move forward for a wide variety of our clients. So I think it's been wonderful. The big takeaway I would have for the audience is, and this is why it's such a great topic, success is hard. Success is hard. And acknowledging it's hard and looking at the elements that come together to make it successful. I think Karen said it very well, invest in your people, bring the right people to the journey that you trust that are going to be part of your future. Work collaboratively with partnerships and across the ecosystem to help people help you be successful, and take that value view and you set yourself up for the best chance of success, and then adapt. Where you start is never where you end. So make sure that the bends in the road are really just bends. They're not hurdles or roadblocks that you have to clear. And if you take that mindset, we know from our experience and our own experience, you will drive the outcomes you're looking to achieve, and you'll have some great stories to tell at the end of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. One observation I've got is, over the last year, Accenture has invested very heavily in building your Oracle practice, capability, capacity, which has been incredible. Thank you for that. But also we have many, many more customers who are live and are successful, and so there are many more best practices and customer examples that are out there. So I think together we're going to make sure that those best practices and lessons are made available to customers, because I look at it, I think the maturity has gone up over the last year, and so success is hard, but I think there's more assets to help you be successful.
Absolutely, Gary. I think best practices and open invitation for the audience. Like to know more, please let me know. We'll make sure we connect with the right folks. The other thing I think with Oracle CloudWorld, which is so important, is you get to connect with your peers. Sometimes you're on an island by yourself when you're transforming. Leverage the lessons from others, and it will help you be very successful and learn the pitfalls and the risks. We pride ourselves on bringing that to the table, but connecting with your peers is absolutely critical. And then, as you mentioned, the investment in products, I'd say that's part of also our success with our clients is proactively investing to help them be successful in areas of need and collaborating very tightly with Oracle, which we appreciate to make sure that we can drive those unique experiences.
All right. Well, Jason, thanks for being an amazing partner and coming here and sharing your experience and best practice with the audience today. Thank you.
Wonderful, Gary.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great job. Okay, so we're going to shift gears a little bit into an interesting company that some of you may not know, but you may know some of the things they make. So I'd like to bring to the stage Kem Balkaran, who is the CIO for Minerals Technologies. Hey, Kem.
How are you guys?
Okay, wow. Okay, so what do we have here? I've been meeting Kem for years, and I say, what does your company do? And,
So I thought I'll show you what our company does. Okay, so I brought you a little gift basket, but before we get into that, Gary, thank you very much for having me here on stage with you.
Excellent.
And I can tell you that all of these products are the products that we make that goes into your everyday life.
Okay.
And, you know, from the time you wake up in the morning, it could be your toothpaste.
Yeah.
It could be your milk that you pour in your coffee.
Okay.
It could be some of the sunscreen.
Okay.
Getting to work, commute to work, the infrastructure, construction, and then depending on how your day goes, some Tums tablets.
Tums, yeah, well, yeah, well, I've been locked up in here for 4 days, so I don't need the sunscreen, right? But I might need the Tums later, so thank you, Kem, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Kem, why don't you introduce yourself and your company to the audience here?
Sure. My name is Kem Balkaran, and I've been with Minerals Technologies for about 18 years. I'm responsible for all of IT globally. In addition to that, I have responsibilities for SG&A spend across the globe, essentially gross margin management across the globe.
Okay. So yeah, we've worked with Kem in partnership for over a decade now, right? So, which has been amazing. And so, you know, you've expanded your business into different countries, different product areas, you know, merger and acquisition. You've been very, very dynamic company. So as you look right now, how do you define success?
Gary, that's easy for us. At Minerals Technologies, it's very clear that the charter for success of the company is to work with our customers, to make sure that we are working alongside them to create innovative solutions for their business. But we want to do that while we keep all involved, our employees safe. Safety is very important to us. We want our employees to go home the way they came to work.
Okay. So, you know, how has Oracle helped you realize that success, you know, and consistently deliver on that innovation? You know, so what's your journey look like, you know, with Oracle over the last decade or so?
That's a lot of questions there, but if I don't answer them, you stay with me. But let me tell you a little bit about the journey.
Yeah.
So if you recall, way back in 2003, we started with Oracle, and immediately as we started out the relationship with Oracle back in your on-demand business, we recognized that we wanted to leverage the power of Oracle not only in the application, but in your knowledge across the globe. So we joined the ACS team at the time, today Customer Success team. And we've been sort of reaping the benefit of that working relationship with your customer service team as we grew the business over the years. We started out with EBS in the US back in 2003. Then we grew across the globe. Today we are operating in 35 countries and over 200 locations on a single platform with Oracle. And all of that is possible because we are working in a partnership with the CSS team. And as we get into new countries where we may not have been before, we can leverage your expertise. But more important than that, a relationship as recent as 2020 we saw another opportunity to strengthen the relationship we have and to leverage the platform, the cloud platform.
Yeah.
So we migrated to OCI in 2020, and that has given us increased performance, the stability that we need in the system, and also we got some savings out of that.
Yeah.
And what we did was to immediately reinvest that savings in building an autonomous data warehouse and doing OEC as our visualization tool.
Yeah.
And I can tell you a little bit about that. You know, we can talk more about what is going on there.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I remember, you know, when we moved you to OCI, but before we moved you said, like, I got to have some wow factor, right? We're making this, you know, move to OCI, it's a lift and shift, but I can't, you know, I want to give some business value as well. So I think that was really smart that you said, okay, I've saved, you know, 15, 20%. And I remember you saying, don't tell the CFO. I'm gonna, you know, we're going to spend that over there. But
Is he in the room?
but I think that was really smart because not only did you get the performance improvement, but you were able to then bring some more business value very, very quickly. So why don't we talk about that? Because you know, I think. You know, I remember the call when you said, hey, what's this analytics thing? What can we do there? So
Yeah, definitely. And so let's talk about what we're trying to do here. You know, we figure building a data warehouse, autonomous data warehouse, would be very helpful to the company to have a central place of having all the data. But the key differentiation there in working with your team to meet this need, we wanted to not have just a data warehouse. We wanted to bridge the gap so that we can have one visualization tool if possible. We may have to tweak that a little bit, but for now, that choice is OAC. And so we wanted to make sure that the latency in that data warehouse would be set up in such a way that it would service every types of customers we have inside the company. Obviously, you have different needs in the business. Your accountants who are closing the books want to see their report immediately and want that data to roll through. For those who are doing analytics, they can take a little bit more latency. But we've managed, with the help of the customer success team, to build that, to design that data warehouse, and we've tested it by implementing in one of the largest segment of the company, and we're starting to see some really good results with that. The folks who are on the receiving end of this is seeing the fact where we are now transcending providing data to the end user in the format that they would like to see it, as opposed to having our accountants and our IT folks tied up in creating reports and recreating reports. We're transcending that. At the same time, we're moving off of Discover reports.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is you were able to stop doing a lot of other, you know, so you save time and effort and money by stopping other tools as well, right, when you moved to Analytics Cloud.
Yeah, this is allowing us to leapfrog the Discover reports and possibly to organize data in the way where I think that we will now have an opportunity, I do believe an opportunity to set up data inside the organization so that we can take advantage of what might be coming at us with AI.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, you know, for me, the thing there is, you know, I see a lot of people there, you know, when they go to analytics, they try to replicate everything they had before, and you're saying leapfrog, have a different mindset, have a different way of presenting stuff, you know, bypass all the people in between. So I think you took a really smart, you know, approach to doing that. And then you told me that when you were demoing to the exec team, what was the feedback?
Yeah, so I think this is very interesting because there's going to be, you know, in any of these implementations, it's system, people, process. And I think with the POC we have right now, it's allowed us to sort of solidify that we have the system, we have the process. And the big challenge here is going to be to make sure that we get the change management going. Inside the organization, the adoption of doing things differently.
Okay. So, you know, you have one platform, you're on OCI, you have the autonomous data warehouse with analytics, but how else is Oracle helping you achieve your objectives and you know, meet your customer success goals?
Yeah, so I think, you know, like, we said Oracle is working with us in many, many ways in terms of our rollout, integration of new businesses in the company, giving us the speed and the dexterity we need to make sure that we integrate those new businesses and take synergistic value that can come out of them. But specifically in the cloud area, I think for me personally is to get past Discover reports that we're using right now and doing it in a way that we can actually bring some incremental value to the modeling and analytics inside the business.
Okay. I mean, one of the other things I look at, it goes beyond the technology. You're expanding into new countries all the time, and Oracle and Oracle Customer Success Services in many. So recently you expanded into Japan. You want to describe that a little bit? What happened there?
Yeah, sure. And so that's a good example, right? So just in the past year or so, we've implemented in Japan, Slovakia, and in Austria.
Yeah.
And then we had a couple of states in India where we had new plants that we had not done business before. And so as you get into these implementations with a lean team like ours, you want to make sure that you're not misstepping in any localization or anything that is known. And we've really used the help of Oracle, specifically in Japan, where the language barriers were really a challenge. And I know that I called on a CCS team, the CSS team to help me doing that, and that went really, really well.
Yeah. I think
appreciate all the help.
He might be in the audience here.
Yeah, is he in the audience? Yeah.
Yes. No, but that was where, it wasn't just the implement the system. We went together with Cam to meeting the new company you were acquiring, and from day one we were together, in really how to do the integration of the company and coming over any roadblocks.
It brought a lot of confidence to the local team. That we had folks who were living, working, breathing Oracle systems in Japan, and that not only the language, but they understood the system.
Okay. So what's next?
What's next? So I definitely want to leverage the POC that we've done here. I want to make sure that we take this across all the different business segments that we have so that everyone can benefit from the success that we've had here. And I want to make sure that we look at this database in a way that we can start testing some new things. A lot said about AI right now, and I think as we look at it, fortifying this database and making sure that everyone understands how you get data with the right level of quality inside an organization so that you can sit a visualization tool on it. I think it's going to be tremendously transformative for us, and I think the analytics that is coming out of this will really leapfrog some things we're doing.
Great.
Yeah.
So one of my key learnings is when you have a customer that partners with you and pulls you in and shares their problems and shares their opportunities and explains what success means to them, we can do great things together, whether it's with us or with a partner. And so I look at the customers I see that get the most value out of their Oracle investment are the ones that pull us in as a real partner. And I just want to thank Cam for being an amazing partner with Oracle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, so one of the other things at Oracle, we drink our own champagne. So we implement our own system. Sometimes we're the testers. And it puts us in a unique position that we shape the product, but then we can share with you. So I want to introduce now Maria Smith, who is the Executive Vice President and Chief Accounting Officer for Oracle, and she's going to come and explain some of the things we've done and share those with you. So please welcome Maria Smith.
I've no present for you.
No present? Oh,
no
that's okay.
present.
You can have the sunscreen. It's okay. So, yeah. So, so Maria, you put the finance group in Oracle in a unique position to really transform, and you're going to talk about how we're sharing our best practices through the financial excellence playbook. So why don't you take it away?
Okay, so really we are at the center and the heart of the biggest ERP community in the world. And that community, like, it's made up of all of our customers and ourselves, and we are constantly giving really good innovation feedback back to product development. So with the team, we wanted to make sure that we share the learnings and we share the benefits we're getting from that technology.
Yep.
But the sweet spot this year that we really want to emphasize is that the learnings from people and mindset, and also the learnings from process.
Yep.
When we bring the three of those together, that's how we accelerated our close. That was where the magic happened.
Okay. So you've transformed the business using Oracle Cloud, and you've really, accelerated the close. Maybe you can drill on that a little bit to accelerate value and reduce risk. So what are some of the best practices you've learned?
Okay, so I'd like to start maybe trying to give an example of that system, process, people through, a really practical example, because I think sometimes coming down to that level of practicality really helps people understand. So when we went to the cloud, first of all, we can see huge automation benefits. So for example, to accelerate a close and release your earnings in 10 days, there's a lot you have to do in the controls area. And in our bank and cash area in ERP, we are at 97% automation of transaction matching. And that is phenomenal. And that is something we never even dreamed of until we got on the cloud.
Sure.
So basically, all of the transactions coming through all of the subledgers are then automatically matched because the bank statements are imported into the system. So if you have a team who need to look at 3% instead of 100% of what they did before, you are accelerating and your quality is better as well. So another example that customers ask me about a lot is, how long does it take you to do intercompany?
Yeah.
We've done 150 acquisitions, so you can imagine what intercompany was like, in a company of our size. We're tying out intercompany in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I remember a long time in my career ago when we were doing that in 5 days. So this is, again, beyond our expectations. And again, we share that with customers because they really want to understand. And I think in the next example, what I'll do is I want to just mention a system feature. I want to build on a process and build on a mindset as to how we really made a massive change in that timeline. So there's a feature on the cloud, and everybody here will go asleep when I say the name of it. It's called multi-currency and multi-ledger accounting. Even as an accountant, when I heard about it, I was kind of nodding, going, yeah, that sounds amazing. What do we do with this? And I guess the team were just amazing because they realized the power of this feature. So to give you an example, say you have 100 entities around the world, and you have 100 accountants posting into those entities. Why do you have the same accountant or different accountants posting into all those entities? 100 times it's duplication. Added to that, from my perspective, I want the numbers fast. They will follow the sun. So you'll have someone in EMEA doing it, somebody in JPAC doing it, and the US. With this feature, one accountant on my team posts an entry into 100 entities, and there's 99 accountants who have free time. So that was a process we introduced. We eliminated over 50% of our manual accounting in the close. Again, more acceleration. But here's the piece I love. We really sat back with the team and said, what can we do next? And the whole concept of CFO perspective of accounting, and we talked about global accounting. And we said, why don't we take this approach to the whole close? And we said, what is the outcome of a close? What do you need to do? You need to file a 10Q or a 10K. That's the outcome. And we asked ourselves, why have we got hundreds of people doing analysis, running reports on amounts that didn't even affect the rounding on our P&L and balance sheet? That mindset has been huge for efficiency. And then back to the system. We created the P&L from the 10Q in narrative reporting in EPM. We put the balance sheet into that, and we said, everybody stop what you're doing. This is what we need to focus on. So in the example I gave, the 99 accountants who weren't doing accounting are focused on that level of materiality and what matters. And then when you realize that benefit, you realize our auditors are able to take that and much faster understand what's happening in our close. So I hope that kind of gives a flavor of how you can move from system to process to mindset and really get the synergy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, Maria, because I think what you're saying is, you know, it's system, process, people, but you're challenging everything, right? Just like, why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? So you're not dragging, and then we talked about this earlier, you're not dragging, I think Karen said, don't take all the stuff out of your attic, right, to your new house, which I think is great. But you're then saying, you know, do I need a house or a trailer or a motorhome or something? You know, you're actually challenging every single thing, but focused on your outcome, right? What's the outcome?
What is the goal?
Yeah.
And minimum viable product. And everyone has talked about this. The simpler it is, the faster it is, the more accurate it is, the more focus you have on it. So, Gary, there's two other things actually I'd like to share. And this really comes from what customers are raising with me. I think I looked at my inbox the other day. I think there's about 1,000 customers in my file at this stage. So because we can close the books in 10 days, or I should say release our earnings in 10 days, we have a lot more time to spend with customers. And it is at the heart of what matters to us as well. One of the questions that everyone is asking, how did you start? It's that courageous step. How did you get going? And I know this morning I heard Steve talking to a customer, and their way of adopting the cloud was big bang. They went and they did it all. That was the best risk approach for them. Many of the customers don't want to do that. And we talk about how we did it, and that's an aha moment, because they don't realize we were early adopters, so we actually phased it in over time. So we started with GL, and then we had procurement and accounts payable, and gradually we had a coexistence model. So we were on-premise and on the cloud, and the pendulum swung over time. And one of the big learnings we had was to get people comfortable, to make that first step was a pilot. And I know that sounds basic, but the way we approached the pilot was, we'll take entities in JPAC, in EMEA, in the US, and we'll test run that first. But what we did was we rotated accountants and controllers all over the world onto those entities. They got so comfortable. They were raring to go. And that was the first step for us. So it's different for different customers, but I just think it's worthwhile sharing, actually, because we were early adopters, that's how we did it. And now it's like much faster, because of course the products are more mature now. We were early adopters. An interesting other topic that's coming up, and maybe it's due to globalization, but most of our customers are big multinationals, enterprise customers. And a lot of focus is on that parent close, the US, you know, 10K, 10Q. But they're finding they're not getting the efficiency in international accounting and reporting. And it is another aha moment when we share what we're doing, because we're using the same learnings and we've applied it to international reporting. So to give you an example, when you have ERP, you have your parent ledger. Sorry for all of you who are not accountants, I'm going into a little bit of detail, but it really should tell, you know, it gives the example. There's a statutory ledger as well, populated from all the transactions, seamless, integrated. We take narrative reporting in ERP. We've set up over 400 sets of financial statements from entities all over the world in narrative reporting. That is populated from ERP. So we thought about this mindset of global accounting. And we have international finance reporting standards now. There's about 70% that's the same, and there may be 30% where in each jurisdiction you've got to do what the rules are in that jurisdiction. But you can imagine this time we're saving. We set up one template we copy it 450 times. The controller on those countries have a starting point much more progressive than what we had before. And what I love is, no one likes risk in my role. In the past, you could have had a situation where somebody left the company. The accounts were on a laptop. They walked out the door. New controller comes in. How do I do these accounts? Where's all the backup? Where's the data? All our data is on the cloud. All the recs are on the cloud. Everything is there ready for them to start from the moment they join Oracle. So that, again, is another example and another area where the same technology, you don't need different technology. And our statutory accounting is the best localized accounting. Like, we can cover every country in the world.
Right. So Maria, I mean, you're amazing, right? So when Safra talked about putting customer success at the center of everything, Maria is our Chief Accounting Officer. She talks to thousands of customers, shares her best. You can see how passionate she is about and how she loves to help other customers. And that's why we're sharing this financial excellence playbook. But Maria, I want to thank you for sharing the company, and really great to feel your passion for helping people.
Yes.
So
thank you, Gary. My pleasure. Thank you.
So hopefully out of that you saw how organizations are achieving exceptional outcomes with Oracle. Really want to thank all of you for being here. I'll leave you with one question. Is about customer success. I'm the customer success officer. I get to ask every customer, what does success mean for you? You've been at Cloud World this week. You've learned some new things. My question is, in the next 6 months, in your wildest dreams, what success would you like to achieve with Oracle? So you don't need to answer that. Think about it. And if you want to follow up on it, you can follow up me, gary.miller@oracle.com. I would love to hear from you. If you want to find out more, go down to the Customer Success Hub. But I just want to thank all of you for coming here. Hopefully you took something useful away. Appreciate it. Thank you.